George of the jungle, strong as he can be. Watch out for that tree. George of the jungle lives a life that's free. Watch out for that tree. When he gets in a scrape, he makes his escape with help from his friend, an ape named Ape. And his elephant chef can fetch a log. He's man's best friend, he's George's dog. He's George of the jungle, strong as he can be.
Hell yeah, we finally get to cross off a crappy straight-to-video sequel from Disney nonetheless off our bucket list. Today we're going to be looking at George of the Jungle 2. George, now a father, goes to Las Vegas where he has to help out his brother. Now, me personally, George of the Jungle is one of those movies where, is it great? No. Is it enjoyable? I think so, and that's really it. Nothing great, just kind of it's an okay movie. It's up there with other classics on the Blockbusters like The Grinch and Good Burger. So we pick up where the last one left off, in that George is now married to Ursula, they have a child, and Ape is still in Las Vegas as a musician. Ooh, evil Thomas Hayden Church from the first movie, the guy who wanted to marry Ursula, and her evil bitch of a mother, yep, they're up to no good. This time they go with the good old cliche plot of trying to steal the deed to something that is very important to our main characters, and they're going to bulldoze it down. In this case, the deed is to a thing called Ape Mountain. Now, one thing I never thought I would say about George of the Jungle 2 is that it has a fair amount of subplots. I mean, you've got what's going on with Ape, and Ape being tricked by evil Thomas Hayden Church has to pay off 17 years of debt by working in the casino that Church bought. And you got the stuff with George where he can't decide if he's spending too much time with his wife and kid or if he should be spending more time worrying about the jungle. And speaking of, there's this whole subplot involving this evil lion who is named, I shit you not, Really Mean Lion, voiced by Tiny Zeus Lister. I'm so sorry. His subplot is brought up like 5 times and then he gets defeated by George like near the end of the movie. That was a very important subplot. We needed to put that in there. All it really amounted to was the lion thinks that he should be ruler of the jungle and not man. Very similar to another Disney movie that, you know, went straight to theaters because it was actually good. And then you got the subplot with the villains and their evil plan to take over Ape Mountain. And also for Thomas Hayden Church to end up with Ursula and take her away from George. Oh, and you remember all the little fourth wall breaks that the first movie had, all the little meta humor? Well, guess what? That's in this movie too. And saying that they're subtle is if you were to spell subtlety like this. I mean, they're even so upfront with the fact they couldn't get Brendan Fraser to come back for this movie that at the beginning they straight up call the new guy playing George, New George. Which I thought was going to be like a bit. I mean, Ursula's not played by Leslie Mann in this movie. She's played by the chick that plays Rita on Dexter. So I thought that was going to be like a thing like, oh, we're the new versions of these characters. But no, they didn't do that. It's almost like this movie was very bitter about the fact they couldn't get Brendan Fraser. I will say this, John Cleese as Ape, who reprises his role from the first movie, he was easily the best thing about this film. He was easily the funniest part out of everything. And even then, some of the scenes that he was in, they gave some of the stupidest shtick that they could work with. Like, there's this running gag about him playing cards with this Eddie Rogers guy, and that was horribly unfunny because the whole joke is that he just sings, and Ape gets annoyed with him, and then the next time you see him, he has duct tape on his mouth. It's a running gag that happens 3 times, and every time it showed up, I was just annoyed by it. How is the evil mother and Thomas Hayden Church gonna get Ursula to marry him? Well, they hire a shady hypnotist, because they're in Las Vegas for a majority of the film. They get a shady hypnotist who they saw on stage to hypnotize her into loving Thomas Hayden Church, except she doesn't. She obviously has these thoughts where she doesn't like him, and she wants to be with somebody else. And guess what saves her? True love's kiss, because George kisses her at the end of the movie, and bam, she remembers why she loves him again. True love's kiss saves everything. Did we mention this was a Disney movie? With all that stuff of her being hypnotized into being married to Thomas Hayden Church, and, you know, all the stuff with the kid, who, by the way, the DVD cover, like, really wants you to know that they have a kid in the movie, like, Junior is the kid's name. He barely does anything throughout this whole movie. That's another little subplot that's established at the beginning and then paid off at the end, in that he's not really into swinging, he's more into tree surfing, which, a plug for Tarzan. There's actually a part where he's reading a Tarzan book, very subtle Disney with your product placement. Oh, but trust me, they have an even more blatant product placement. They have a product placement for Nike sneakers. Like, fucking Seltzerberg wrote this. Also, the narrator comes back from the first movie, and that's continuing the whole fourth wall breaking. In fact, there's one part where the main characters start having a whole dispute with the narrator, and then Thomas Hayden Church pisses the narrator off, so a giant hand comes out of the sky and takes him out of the story, and then he's just gone. I can't tell if that's really clever or if that's really a cheap way to get rid of that character. The point is, they stop the bulldozers from tearing down the jungle. George is now the king because he defeats Tiny Zeus Lion, and he's now back together with Ursula because after True Love's kiss, you know, she loves him again, and they're happily married. George comes up with an ultimatum so that everybody is happy, so that he can take care of the jungle on certain times, take care of his son on certain times, and, you know, always be with his family and all that good stuff. And we end with one more classic, watch out for that tree gag, which, by the way, the first half of this movie, they would not stop playing the George of the Jungle theme. Like, in the opening credits, the little animation that they had, that makes sense, because, you know, it's the opening theme song for the movie, so okay. But they kept playing it so many other times in the first half, I'm just thinking, how many times can you play this song? Obviously, this is not the worst movie I ever looked at for Blockbusters. Production-wise, it's very straight to video. The CG is like a kick to the face. It sticks out like a sore thumb. But it's not the worst. It's very straight to video Disney level, and that's what it is. So I wasn't really expecting too much. The acting is fine. Everyone's mugging their hearts out, and like the first movie was like that, but it had kind of a cheesy, like, cute charm to it. But this one just feels like they're trying to milk that for all it's worth, and it's just kind of annoying and just not funny. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about George of the Jungle 2. If you have kids, go watch it on Netflix. It's perfect for kids, but if you're like a really big fan of the first movie, I really don't think you're gonna get that much out of it. Also, I just discovered this while editing. Whatever you do, do not watch the George of the Jungle cartoon that is on YouTube, because they took the original Cartoon Network show and then they decided to give it a second season, but half the stuff that was in the original is changed. And it's not like small things, it's like really big things. Like characters' names have been changed, some character personalities have been changed. One guy is now the villain all of a sudden, even though he wasn't in the original. I don't know what's up with that. And there's, just look at this thumbnail. This is from the, insert obvious DeviantArt joke here. That's all for this episode of Blockbusters, and look forward to next month. We've got some big videos planned. We got a convention vlog planned, and I got a special review planned as well, so look forward to all of that. Until then, we'll see you guys next time. Uh-oh. Birds. Better get coat hangers. They're gonna explode because of global warming.
Now George was a king and a daddy too. It's just too much for poor George to do. Though George loved Ursula with all his heart, her mama's evil plots broke them apart. There was lying, thieving, and stealing and cheating, but their true love just can't be beaten. So glad his kiss can unhypnotize. Now George is the king from now.